1 second. Let me tweet the link out. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, well, I'm not sure if anybody's actually gonna watch this live. I probably could have planned it out better. I wrote it down like I was scheduling it. I don't think anyone necessarily cared, and whatever, all that good stuff. But for those of you who may watch it later, hey, welcome to Please Watch This, episode 2. Used to have a show called Don't Watch This on Periscope. That was quite some time ago. Did Please Watch This, episode 1, which you can find on the YouTube channel. That was also quite some time ago. That was like a smooth month and a half ago. But the initial episode was really just about starting somewhere. And that's why I did episode 1. I wasn't necessarily ready to do it. I wasn't necessarily ready to like start doing these episodes on a consistent basis. But you had to start somewhere. And today's message is really just to keep going. I said that I wanted to do it tonight at 10:30. My energy was pretty low throughout the day. And as 10:30 was approaching, my energy was even lower. And I really wasn't looking forward to doing it. Didn't really plan to. But you just have to keep going. It's okay to have low energy. It's okay to have days where you're not necessarily, at the top of your game. But even on those days, even on the days where you're not at the top of your game, you have to play. You feel me? Like, you got to be in the game. You got to be in it to win it. So, I don't know. I should have had more of an itinerary for this, but once again, I planned on not doing it at a point. But, yeah, just keep going. Stay with it. We all have bad days. There's times where your energy is going to be low. There's times where you're going to be a bit discouraged about things. I was definitely discouraged about this in general. I feel like it's tougher to get something going almost, and it's really weird to do a live show where hey, there's a viewer, salute to you, but it's really tough to do a live show where you're like talking to yourself almost. But it's also not tough at all for me. So I used to have an intro. I don't really have an intro for this one yet. This is kind of just developing as it goes. So, maybe one day it'll go live and there'll be mad people in here who will care what's going on and want to see it and all those good things. But for the one person that's in here, for the one person that may watch it later, for the one person after that, possibly, just stick with whatever it is, man, and power through your bad days because, anything you can get to, you can get through. And like that, anything you can get to, you can get through. And no matter how strong the winds, there's never been a storm that didn't pass. Those are two things that I say like all the time. That's like two things I live by. And they keep me going for real. Like at the end of the day, no matter how bad things can be, think about the worst thing you ever went through. You feel me? Think about how I felt in that moment. Think about how low it was, how much you felt like, how detrimental it may have felt, how it may have felt like you can never make it back from that. And now think about right now. Like you're past that. You got past you've made it through your worst day. You feel me? So it's like once you've made it through your worst day, there's not really a day you can't make it through. Like on the opposite effect, it's like for me, it's weird at having low days because my energy is normally so high. So like I'm normally a very high energy person. I'm normally in really good spirits. Like I honestly don't really feel low too often these days. So when I do, it feels like 10 times lower almost because it's like, whoa, like I'm not accustomed to this. I'm not supposed to be here. I remember what it was like to be here, but this is weird. But like there's no such thing as being up if you're never down. Like if that makes sense, like if you're never down, if you never fall, like are you ever really up? Did you ever really get up? Like how high can you really be if there is no low? Like what's the ceiling if there is no floor? I hope that makes sense. I really be hoping most of the things I say make sense. A lot of times I just be saying them, especially on this episode. But I say this because like there's a lot going on right now. You feel me? The world is in a really weird space, as it's continued to be in. But the news has been tough the last couple weeks. So there's just a lot of things that can be detrimental to somebody's energy, and we all deal with our own things. Like we all go through the same struggles, just with different details. We don't know what life has in store, but we're sick of retail. That was like 5 years ago. I used to be spitting, bro. But yeah, we all go through things. We all deal with things, and so with the world having its own things going on that are tough to deal with, and us having our own personal things, it can become a real burden, you know. And I guess I'm doing this just to be like, you're not alone in that. I really don't know if that makes people feel better, but I know it makes me feel like it's almost like seeing that a lot of times we'll feel like something that we go through is just specific to us, or a lot of people don't broadcast their L's or broadcast their lows, so it feels like it's out of the norm to have them. But once again, there is no high without lows. So keep that in mind always. Oh my goodness, another viewer. Hey, salute to you. Welcome to episode 2 of Please Watch This. Used to have a show on Periscope called Don't Watch This, but YouTube is different. Like, I'd like to build a platform here and, really start to push things forward. And that's going to take a lot on my part, you feel me? And I'm aware of that. And that's why today's messages keep going, because I kind of didn't want to do this episode. I kind of didn't feel like I was ready to. My energy didn't feel like I was ready to. But, I mean, if I don't do this, there is no episode 2. Just like episode 1 was about starting something. If you're on here right now, you can subscribe to the YouTube. And episode 1 is here. I feel like episode 1 was probably more productive than this one was. But it really was about starting something. I was like, I'm not sure what I have to do, what I'm going to do on episode 2, blah, 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 what the premise of the show is, what the direction of the show is. I'm still not really sure. But you have to take the steps. So I had to just get this out of the way. I had to make something happen. And even with, like, the hoodie release, like, I've been, procrastinating on the hoodie release because I want to execute it perfectly. Today I was talking to my mom, and she told me that I should try writing, like I do a lot of things for the Knicks wall, and I do a lot of things covering the Knicks. I'm very passionate about it. And she was like, you should try writing articles. You're a really good writer. You should put that talent with that. And, at first I was just like, I was hesitant. I was like, yeah, like that would be a cool idea. I'd like to try out next season. And she was like, but what are you waiting for? And for me, it was just a matter of like, I want to do everything. Like, I want to execute everything. It's weird because I'm a perfectionist, but in the weirdest way. Like, I'm like an off-the-top perfectionist. Like, I want things to be organic. I want to just kind of flow with things, but I also want it to go the right way. Like, I want the flow to work out perfectly, and I like to try to map things out. And that's a lot of what I said in episode 1, that you can't get to step 10 from step 1, that you have to take step 1, make your way to step 2 so that you have a clear view of what step 3 and 4 are, and so on and so forth until you get to step 10. So, I mean, I have to take my own advice, mainly, plain and simple. Excuse me. I just have to take my own advice with those situations and really start to put that foot forward, instead of worrying about, okay, like, how am I going to make sure that it's perfect, though? Like, how am I going to make sure this goes exactly how I want it to go? Like, how do I avoid these possible pitfalls? And that happens when you've dealt with pitfalls before. Like, when you've dealt with pitfalls, or you've had things go wrong, you just become naturally conditioned to try to avoid anything that can possibly go wrong, or try to avoid any possible disappointment. But in trying to avoid disappointment and in trying to avoid things going wrong, all I've done was make things not go right. And I mean, things have gone right for me, sure, but like, as far as these hoodies, I've been wearing these hoodies for like 2 months now. Why are they not for sale? Like, that's on me. That's on me, and that's me not taking the steps I need to take. That's me not doing what I have to do, and that's me trying to want it to happen this way, or want to know exactly how something's going to happen, or it needs to have this. Like, no, you just got to, you start somewhere, keep going. Like, at the end of the day, you have to keep going, and then things will start to unfold, and you have to allow yourself the opportunity for things to unfold for you. Yeah. Also, aside from the hoodies, I have to do the same thing with music. I'm trying to put a project together. Been trying to put a project together for a while, making smaller steps toward it, but I just have to take. I think sometimes I'm afraid, not even afraid, because even when I was talking to my mom today about the articles thing, she was like, are you worried about it, not going on? And I was like, honestly, no. Like, I don't have a confidence issue, which is really weird in terms of like me with my awkward hesitancy to do things, because there's really not a confidence issue. I'm pretty confident in the things that I do, that I can do them well. Like I think that once I sell these hoodies, they'll sell very well. I think that if I were to write that article, I would write it very well. But with the article, I was saying, I was like, just after writing that article and doing very well, I feel like I would almost have to write more articles. And no, I don't have to, but just that's how my mind works. It's like, okay, I'm good at this. Now I have to do this. And I think that sometimes I'm a bit hesitant for things to go right. And I don't know if anybody else ever has that feeling, but it's like sometimes I'm like, okay, am I ready for this to go right? Like, am I ready for this to be successful? Like, and that's a really weird and probably stupid feeling. But I mean, I'd be lying if I said that that's not the case sometimes. Like with the hoodie release, I feel like once I put the hoodies out, and start pushing them, like I have the hoodies, I've wanted the hoodies, like they mean a lot to me. This whole thing means a lot to me, but it's like there is no turning back from when you start. So just like I did episode 1, it was starting somewhere, and episode 2 is keep going. It's like once I get the hoodie release out or once I get the music out, it's like this is what I do now. Like, and I have to do this well, and I have to continue to do this well, and it's like I feel like it'll go really well. But there's just some weird part of me. I don't know if it's procrastination. I don't know if it's like an internal thing. I gotta unpack it more maybe. I don't know. But there's some part of me that like is a bit hesitant for things to go right even. Like it's not even a matter of me being afraid of it going wrong. I don't think that I would drop the hoodies and it would go wrong at all. I think that no matter what happens, it would be pretty cool. I think it would be pretty successful. People already have like want to buy them. I'm the issue, honestly. I'm what's holding me back here. So allow yourself to win. Like I don't know, like allow yourself to win. Feel your losses and feel your W's. Like I it's weird because I'm trying to tell myself while also telling other people, and that in itself is a pretty weird stance to have. But take it from me. Like I've had these hoodies, I want to sell them, I want to get them off, and I know it'll go well. But it's like, okay, step by step process. How does it go here? What do I do from here? Like, how do I respond to this? And just take that step and let it happen. Let it happen and flow from there. So I plan to, I've said this a million times, but the hoodies will be available this week. Like, I'll have the pre-order link out for sure. The hoodies will be available. So whatever your hoodie release is, whatever your song that you're not dropping, whatever, like your situation is not the same as mine, I'm sure. But there's probably something where you need to take that next step and you're the only reason you're not taking, and you don't necessarily understand why. So try to think about why. Like for me, I thought about why, and it was like, am I even ready to succeed? Like this is a big thing for me. Like this is my brand. Like this means a lot to me. You feel me? Like there's a lot behind this. I want to roll out the music behind it. Like all these kind of things that I have connected to this, and I want everything to go well. I want everything to go well. I want everything to go the way that I see it. But at the same time, like I said, you can't see step 10 from step 1. So I want everything to go the way that I see it, but I don't see how it's going to go, And I think that sometimes that in itself, like that unknown factor, is a bit overwhelming. But we just have to get over that. Like at some point, like you don't do yourself any favors. I haven't done myself any favors. There's other things that have gone well, sure. And I watched the Kobe interview, and he talked about like not negotiating with yourself. And I'm trying to work on that. Like, I feel like a lot of times you end up like, oh, okay, well, bro. Like, I need to get this done. Like, this needs to happen. This should move forward, And I feel like sometimes I'm trying to do too many things at once. Like, the Knicks season has been a whole lot. It takes a lot of energy, or not takes a lot of energy. It's just there's a lot of attention and passion toward that from my end. Between watching the games, thinking about the games, the pregame, halftime, postgame, all that stuff, the podcast, all those things, Plug Talk podcast, bunch of different things that I'm trying to progress in. So sometimes I don't give myself the credit for the progression I've made because of the areas that I haven't progressed. Like I want to get the hoodies off, so I have days, and that's probably where my energy is a bit lower. I have days where because I didn't get these hoodies off, I feel like I'm not doing anything at all. And from the outside looking in, people tell me, oh, I'm doing so much, or you're doing a great job, blah, blah, blah. And, like, sometimes I have to step back and be like, okay, like, all right. And that's also tough with the whole no self negotiation thing because I feel like there's a thin line there. This must just be me venting. That's what this show is. Please watch this. It's just me venting. Maybe I should go back to saying don't watch this because I'm just venting. But yeah, there's a thin line between like not negotiating with yourself, but also understanding and being kind to yourself. And so sometimes, like I said, because I didn't do this, I feel like I didn't do anything. So it'll be like, oh, regardless of what happens on Plug Talk, you know, what happens at the Knicks wall, like what I did, I can do 4 different things in a day and feel like I didn't do anything or I'm not doing what I need to do, and I just beat myself up about that. So beating yourself up is never the answer. It's not productive. It doesn't do anything for you because I beat myself up and still the hoodies are not available for sale. So what does it do? You just have to kind of take that energy and put it into something positive. You feel me? Anything you can get to, you can get through. No matter how strong the wind, there's never been a storm that didn't pass. And whatever, like, you know, whatever you didn't do today, there is tomorrow. You just can't let your tomorrow stack up. But I feel like if I didn't do something today at 11:30, there's no point in me spending the rest of the night beating myself up about what I didn't do today. Like, you have to keep going. My bad, the angle was off. But yeah, you have to just keep going. At the end of the day, like, that's really what all this comes down to. That's really what this episode is about. Like, whether your energy's low, whether you're hesitant, whether you're not sure, whether you lack the confidence in it, whatever it is, you have to keep going. Like, if you keep going, things will work themselves out. So, you know, have the right intentions, understand what direction you want to go in for sure. Like, I'm not, and that's part of the issue too. Like, a lot of the times, first of all, I'm back to meditating on like a daily basis, which I'm really happy about. So, yeah, that goes a long way. There was a period where I was doing it every day. Then there was a period where I wasn't doing it much at all. Then I was doing it like kind of sporadically. So I'm back to doing it every day, and that helps me a lot. But when I meditate, like one thing I always like talk about, one thing I pray for is like direction and clarity. Like, where am I going? What am I doing? You know? So I'm not saying like just run off directionless, but have that sense of direction. And once you have that sense of direction, just go. Like, go take step 1 so you can take step 2 so you can plot out steps 3 and 4 and have a really good step 5. But you can't stand at step 1. And I feel like that's kind of what I was doing. That's kind of what I do it a lot. Like, today, I had things that I wanted to do, things that I wanted to accomplish. And because I wasn't necessarily sure which thing to start on, or like I did a little bit of a few different things, but I didn't really move the needle anywhere. And that's an unproductive day. Once again, that's one of those days I would beat myself up for sometimes, but it's like, all right, run it back tomorrow. You know, I already have some things to do tomorrow, which is pretty cool. So hopefully I'm able to fit other productive things around those, and we're good to go, you know? So that's it. When you realize when you realize where you fell short, acknowledge you fell short and work on improving. But beating yourself up doesn't do much. Keep going. Always. Oh, wait. Yeah, keep going always. I've been rambling for 19 minutes at this point. I used to freestyle at the end of these. I don't really have anything off the top at the moment. I'm just trying to paint a vision with the proper components. Got lost in the moment, repeated a word, and now I'm off something that I don't need a key to disturb. That's locked in. I don't have no options. I haven't stopped since. That was terrible, so I passed it off like Stockton. That's an assist or two. They call me Mr. Dude. I'm conflicted through everything I've written. All these different written moods. I don't know. That's written moods, interviews, attention getting split in two. Made an episode talking about the things I didn't do. And some that most didn't view. I don't know, but yeah, that's what I would have done if I freestyled. It would have been something like that, but I didn't. So, on that note, whoever this viewer is, shout out to you. You're greatly appreciated. Next time, leave a comment so that I know who you are, so I can like be like, wow, thanks, you were here. That's so cool. And other than that, the message is to keep going, always. So, Anything you can get to, you can get through. No matter how strong the winds, never been a storm that didn't pass, and you're capable of whatever you allow yourself to be. So, on that note, you guys have an excellent night. I don't know when episode 3 will be. I'm not gonna tell myself that it'll be soon. I mean, I will. No self-negotiation. So episode 3 will be soon. I'm not sure when, but we'll do another one, and it'll be more structured too. Like I just like this had to happen. I didn't want to do it, but you got to push through things. You got to keep going, and even on your lowest days, um, you can find moments. Yeah, there's a lot of empty air in this too. Like I flow better. Like I know exactly what I'm saying, or like all these things. So this will get better. Like this is only episode 2. You feel me? Like it's about constant improvement, constant growth. And like I said, you got to take step 1. Took step 1. This is step 2. So from there, we'll have more of a direction and more clarity about what this show is, where it's headed, and how it's structured. But until then, you guys have you have an excellent night.